They say the smallest act of kindness can echo across time, setting off ripples we never see coming. This is a story about dignity, about heart, and about how the tables of life can turn when you least expect it. It begins with a waitress, overworked, underpaid, and barely hanging on. Cassie Torres was 26, and the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. Every morning, she woke up at 5 a.m. to the sound of her daughter's cough echoing through their tiny two-bedroom apartment. The heating barely worked. The fridge rattled like a dying engine. And yet, she smiled, Cassie was a single mom, not by choice but by necessity. Her ex-husband, a smooth talker with a cruel temper, had walked out on her and their daughter, Maddie, when Maddie was just 2. No goodbye, no child support, just silence. Now, Cassie worked double shifts at a rundown roadside diner just off Route 8 in Nebraska. The uniform was stained, the tips were scarce, and the manager, Chuck, had a wandering eye and a foul mouth. But Cassie? She held her head high, because giving up wasn't an option. Each day, she tied her apron tight, pulled her hair into a messy ponytail, and pasted on a smile that concealed 1,000 worries. Rent, groceries, Maddie's asthma medication, school supplies. The list never ended. But Cassie kept moving. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who cry in the shower, then walk out like everything's fine. Cassie was one of them. It was a Tuesday, cold, gray, and miserable. Rain pelted the diner windows like tiny fists. Cassie's feet ached. Her hands were raw from detergent, and the coffee machine had broken down again. That's when he walked in. The bell above the door jingled weakly. A man entered, tall, slender, probably in his 70s. His coat was worn, boots soaked, and eyes distant. The kind of eyes that had seen things no one should see. Cassie noticed a faded military patch stitched onto a jacket. U.S. Army, Vietnam. She approached, cautious but kind. "Seat yourself anywhere, sir." "Coffee." He nodded silently, sitting at the farthest booth by the window. He ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, a black coffee and a bowl of soup. Cassie could have ignored him, could have focused on the noisy table of college kids or the truckers asking for free refills. But something about the man's presence stopped her. She brought over his order, freshened his coffee without being asked. Then, softly, she asked, "You served?" His gaze slowly met hers. "Vietnam, 6/8 to 71. Cassie swallowed a lump in her throat. Her grandfather had fought in the same war, had never come home. When the man reached for his wallet, Cassie placed her hand gently on his. "It's on me," she said, her voice steady. "Thank you for your service." The man froze. His eyes widened just slightly. Then he nodded, deeply, as if saluting something he thought lost long ago. He left shortly after. Quietly. No name. No story. Just gone. Cassie paid for the meal out of her own dwindling tips. Later that night, her co-worker Tracy rolled her eyes. "You can't even afford new shoes for your kid, and you're feeding strangers? What are you, Mother Teresa?" Cassie didn't respond. She just smiled, wiped down a table, and kept working. But deep down, doubt crept in. Was she foolish? Still, her heart told her she did the right thing. And someone else had noticed. 3 weeks passed. Cassie's car broke down. The school sent another notice about Maddie's unpaid lunch balance. The power bill arrived with a red stamp. Final notice. She cried in the back pantry where no one could see. Then, one Thursday afternoon, an envelope arrived at the diner. No return address. Just her name, written in elegant script. Cassie opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a letter, asterisk, to the waitress who remembered me. "You saw me when no one else did. You reminded me of the country I fought for, of a time when character meant something. I walked into that diner, expecting nothing, but I walked out with hope. I didn't just survive the war. I built something. I became something. Now it's your turn." Enclosed, a check. $250,000. Cassie dropped to the floor. Her co-workers rushed to her side, thinking she was sick. She couldn't speak. She could only cry. Who was the man? The man was Colonel Arthur Gaines. a decorated Special Forces officer. After the war, he started a private defense firm that skyrocketed into a multi-million-dollar empire. He had properties across the country, investments, foundations. He had come to town to visit the grave of a fallen comrade. No one knew who he was, and no one cared, except Cassie. And she did it not for gain, but out of respect. Colonel Gaines had Cassie vetted. Quietly, discreetly, he learned everything. Her struggles, her loyalty, her kindness. Then he acted. The check was just the beginning. He sent a mechanic to fix her car, paid off her medical debts, enrolled Maddie in a private school, and then he called her. Cassie couldn't believe her ears. He offered her a job, not a handout, a position as an executive assistant at his firm. "You've got more grit than most people I've hired," he told her. She accepted, and so began a new chapter. She trained. She studied. She worked harder than ever. In less than a year, she became operations manager. Now the table is about to turn. One day, a familiar face walked through the office doors. Tracy, her old coworker, dressed up, nervous. She was there for a job interview. Cassie stood behind the desk, clipboard in hand. "Cassie," Tracy stammered. Cassie smiled, polite, calm, in control. "Thank you for coming in," she said. "Unfortunately, we're looking for people with integrity, humility, and respect. Best of luck." Tracy left speechless. Justice served. 2 years later, Cassie stood beside Colonel Gaines at a gala fundraiser for veterans. She wore a sleek blue dress. Her speech was broadcast live. She told her story. From waitress to executive, the audience was in tears. She ended with this: "One act of kindness can change a life. Maybe not yours, but someone else's. And in doing so, you find yourself changed, too." Colonel Gaines stood, saluted her. The room erupted in applause. Lesson learned. Never underestimate the power of being kind when no one is looking. Never assume someone isn't watching. And never forget, what you give to the world has a way of coming back. Because underdogs don't stay down forever. They rise with dignity, with heart. And when they do, the world watches in awe.